Microphone's on now, the camera's on. Welcome again to the next bit, which is MardiGrass continues. On my side, right hand side, Sue Higginson, the Greens member of the Upper House of New South Wales, has been there occupying that chamber, but not just occupying, I mean actively doing the stuff that we would expect Sue to do for a number of years now. Prior to that, an activist lawyer at the Environmental Defenders Office. Before that, in the deep distant past, an activist saving forests in the literal sense of chaining herself to machinery and that kind of stuff. So Sue has been awesome from the time I first met her, if I could be a bit indulgent, old friend, old comrade, for many, many years. But from the time I first met her until now, has always been super impressive. Blazing trails in the Upper House of New South Wales. Sue is going to talk to us about, she doesn't know what, described it in the program as the grass is getting greener or something of that sort. Good a title as any, but Sue will always have something interesting to say, and we'll have time for some questions and comments from the group. So Sue's going to talk for as long as she wants to, and then we'll see where we go in terms of conversation after that.
Thanks so much, Steve, and thank you all for sitting here and being here. Let's have a chat. I'll say a few things, and then really I'd like to just open it up and we have a chat. And the title of my talk is the grass is always greener. It was a bit of a play on words because ultimately I knew we were here at this incredible celebratory protest festival, MardiGrass, and it was the day after the federal election. And of course, when I said I was going to come and talk, I had no flipping idea what we would be waking up to or going to bed to last night. But now we know. So before I start and get into the rave about where we are and what we know, I just want to acknowledge that we are here on this beautiful bit of country, Ridgeable Wyble country, in the incredible fertile shadows of the rocks and the mountains and the waters that flow through. I pay my respects to all elders, past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded, and this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. And I want to acknowledge the continuing struggles of First Nations people, and I want to acknowledge that I am so fucking glad Peter Dutton did not get in yesterday. Because let's face it, they even tried in those desperate last throes to play on the division that colonialism has successfully continued the breeding of right here on this incredible sacred continent that is and always will be First Nations country. They tried with the acknowledgement of country, so I implore all of you, wherever you go for the next little while, whatever you can do to continue to acknowledge and celebrate First Nations custodianship, but also to stand as allies wherever you are in the pursuit of First Nations justice, because we are still so far away. We really are. Just on that, I just want to acknowledge right now a very, very simple fact, and I know this is outside of the weed dialogue, we're going to get into that in a second, but seriously, there is a deep connection because First Nations kids right now, aged 14 to 18, are being incarcerated in this state of New South Wales under New South Wales Labor at a rate increased higher and faster than we have ever seen in this state of New South Wales. So please folks, don't forget that in the work that you're doing every day with your friends and family, in your community, wherever you are. Right now, it's a really dire situation. We can look around the world, but here on our own country, right here in New South Wales, we have never locked up First Nations kids at the rate that we're locking them up right now. And this is under the New South Wales Men's Labor government. So, the grass is always greener, and I say that because I'm a Greens MP, and I could not be more proud right now to be sitting here with all of you in this place as a Greens MP and a member of a beautiful, amazing hard-working political party that has done incredible things in this country to loosen the stranglehold of the choking duopoly. And I say choking because it has had a stranglehold on the health of our democracy for a long, long time. Is it the coalition? Is it Labor? Is it Labor? Is it the coalition? Well, the good thing about this election is we know it was a very important election in terms of the duopoly. There was just no question. If we had woken up today and Peter Dutton had somehow managed to turn the polls and had actually been not just elected, let's just laugh for one moment, he actually lost his seat. It's so good, folks. Like, seriously, he lost his seat.
Worth gloating on.
Exactly. Let's gloat and bloat for a few seconds. These things, you know, we can sit here and we can go, oh yeah, these things are hard earned. They are hard fought. It is grit and grind and sweat and blood and no sleep on the streets, on the booths, doing the door knocking, doing the letterboxing, and we've done it. It was literally because of and I just want you to know this, an incredible young guy, Louis Baton, a Nimbin kid originally, who ran for the Greens, along with an incredible independent, who crunched and crunched the streets. Literally, it's their preferences that got the Labor person, the Labor woman, over the line, and not just didn't make Peter Dutton the Prime Minister or the Leader of the Opposition anymore, but literally made him unemployed today. They took his job. Guys, I know I'm a complete political junkie, but this stuff is so good. So that's what we did, and that's what the power of believing in what's possible when you really have a focused goal. You mobilise and unify around what we are working for, and that's what we can achieve. So we have woken up, and we do have a Labor majority government. We know what that means. In the big picture, it means that the politics of division, hate, racism and nastiness lost in this country. And that is a resoundingly brilliant factor, given that Trump politics was trying very hard to come to Australia and be loud and make Australia great again, or some bullshit. You saw it. It was written on people's hats. And it was brought here, or the attempt was for it to be brought here. They failed. And that is a win against tyranny, it's a win against Trump, and it's a win against the politics of hate and division. It's been done here. Now, we Greens have managed to maintain our overall vote in good, strong stead. We have stayed the course. In fact, our overall vote has stayed strong and increased a little bit. That means we will maintain the balance of power in the Senate, and we will hold the new Labor government to account. So that is the politics that we are looking at now for the next 3 years. This is a good position, and it's a strong position for us to be in. It's really sad. We lost seats, and losing seats is really, really painful, folks. I'm here, I'm in tears, my heart is heavy, and I'm sad about that. We lost Max Chandler-Mather in the seat of Griffith, just over the border there. I just think that is so, so sad. This is the guy that actually spoke truth and revolutionised the debate on housing justice in this country. He's the guy that made Anthony Albanese uncomfortable because he thought he could just keep talking about changing the planning laws and trying to get some changes and get some more houses out into the landscape. Max Chandler-Mather is the guy who spoke up for renters, who spoke up for public housing and social housing and affordable housing, not just rolling out more private developer profit-generating housing across this country. We have him to thank for that. Unfortunately, he's lost his seat. Now, we've also lost our Brisbane seat. Stephen Bates, amazing young advocate, also doing incredible things on the national map of politics. The reality is, when you are the only sustained single third party in this democracy, and you are gunning every single moment to maintain your strength, your power, your relevance, it is a difficult gig. And let's be honest, what we face this election, we have never seen before in our democracy, and that was the advance, racist, fossil fuel, billionaire dollars poured into a single objective campaign with those millions of dollars, and that was a single objective of diminishing the Green votes in our lower house seats. So they have succeeded, because that's what dark, big money with lots of power behind it, and 16 full-time employees working around the clocks on the tools, on the social media, letterboxing, filling up the billboard space, saying, you can't trust the Greens, don't vote, but vote for the Greens. With a bunch of misinformation, serious misinformation. You know, we have beautiful people come up to us and say, you're gonna tax my mother just for owning a house. It's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, how does this stuff get out there like that? Well, it gets out there when massive misinformation corporations set up and lobby groups, registered third-party campaigners, put the effort in, put the money in, and they do it. There's something wrong with our democracy when we let this shit happen. And it's happened on our watch, and we have suffered because of it. Fortunately, it hasn't penetrated our base. It literally just penetrated the two-party duopoly political system. And because we were part of that two-party preferential balance in those lower house seats, we lost a bit. We're still in the running to keep our seat in Ryan with the amazing Elizabeth Watson-Brown, and that will come down to the wire. I'm still quietly confident about that seat. Unfortunately, it looks like our amazing, one and only, supercharged local sister Mandy Nolan in Richmond, we're not going to get across the line there. It is so sad and so tragic. I don't know what more we could have done this time round to try and get the amazing Mandy in. I am going to say this, and I know it's a tad controversial, especially amongst all my beautiful friends, family and community right here. Unfortunately, Legalised Cannabis Party did run in Richmond and ran against Mandy, and that's sad, because we are looking right now where those preferences went, and at least the how to vote card said vote number 2 Mandy, which would have been good. But it's a dangerous thing to do when you're playing against the big guys. That's the time we are, as a tribe, as a mob, as a progressive body. It's normally, if we want to see an amazing woman like Mandy win, that's when we would unify strategically. Those things are hard. We're diverse, we're amazing, we're chaotic, we're a crazy mob, and at the end of the day, we all love each other. This is the consequence of exercising our democratic rights in this amazing place. So, unfortunately, and I can't tell you, I am literally politically, spiritually, socially, environmentally grieving right now that we will not have our amazing sister Mandy announcing tomorrow morning that she's won the seat and off she goes to Canberra. Interestingly, it looked like we had Wills as a seat down in Victoria for a moment. Again, unfortunately, the legalised cannabis preferences there are going to Labor, and that will not give us a seat. It will give that seat to Labor. These are the nuances and the optics and the way it rolls. We are, one of the biggest shocks to me and all of us, and everyone, frankly, is that we are still, right now, down to the wire, trying to keep our seat of Melbourne with the Australian Greens leader, Adam Bandt. We didn't see that coming. So, tricky times. Politics is fickle. Why do I talk about it like this and try very hard to provide this kind of in-depth but quick, rude, crude analysis of what's just happened in our federal election? Why, and why here now? Because we just want to legalise cannabis, and we have, as the Greens, been trying at the grindstone with the grist, and we won't give up, folks. We will keep going. And I know, like you know, it's not about if, it really is about when we achieve this objective. This is the moment I get to reflect with all of you. It was, I think, 31 years ago. So I'm from just up there on the mountain. That's my spiritual homelands. That's where my kids were born. That's where I've lived. And it's the place I love more than probably anywhere else on this beautiful, living, breathing, dancing, blue-green planet. It was up there we conceptualised the first ever Gunja fairies. I was one of those. I had a ball in my wild young days. And, we were up there sewing our costumes and going, this amazing protest that was MardiGrass, or that began as the protest where we all said, enough of the helicopters, enough of the vilification, enough of the persecution. This is absurd. And we all marched on the police station and went, go away, this is our home, you just go away, we've had enough, and we're going to stand here and we're going to come every May until we legalise the weed and the other drugs, because this is just ridiculous. It was the second year after that we said, hey, it's Nimbin, we need some Gunja fairies, we need some dancers, we need some women out the front performing. So it's one of the fondest things of my life. So with some other amazing women, that's what we did. We started the Gunja Fairies, and I'm so proud of this place that the women just keep on dancing and keep on being Gunja Fairies, and will always continue to do that. I went just this week with Senator David Shoebridge, another absolute champion. He was here yesterday, who is working very hard and very strategically to legalise cannabis, using all sorts of potential avenues to legalise cannabis through the federal parliament and the federal system, as opposed to the state, which is where really the tightness of drug laws are held by our state governments. We went over to the incredible medicinal cannabis facility that's been started over at Rouse here in the Northern Rivers. I learned some shocking things. I learned that those poor guys who have set up this absolutely amazing world-class facility there, where they are growing organic medicinal cannabis with the most incredible systems of quality control that satisfies all of the Australian regulatory requirements. They're being smashed. The government right now is asleep at the wheel. We just had 3 years of a federal Labor government. They could have fixed this, and they haven't. And what we're actually seeing is these guys complying with prohibitively difficult regulatory schemes, with licensing and all of their regulatory hurdles and requirements. And yet what we've got is an import system that is actually allowing international cannabis under the guise of medicinal cannabis, flooding the market. No regulation over there. These guys can barely compete. And then the clinics, because it's more competitive to sell that cheaper weed as medicinal cannabis, our poor Australian-made guys who are here, literally contributing to our regional economy, providing fantastic employment and seriously good quality product, they're getting smashed. So, folks, we've got a mission together. I went, had the time of my life. It's an amazing place. The people are incredible, and I'm absolutely hooked in now. I'm not going to stop until we sort this shit out, because I just can't believe this is happening. So I need you all, no matter what your political colour, stripes and wisdom is, I need you all to tap into this. This is how we do it. We only do this by being together. You heard John before. We've got these devices. We've got this level of being able to connect together. I run campaigns. Kate Fairman, who is a drugs portfolio holder in the New South Wales Parliament, she works like a dog on this stuff. She's brilliant. She's been doing it for years, grist and grit, and does it. Shoebridge is on it too. We need you all to come on this journey, because we've got this
Labor government at the federal level. They've got a big majority now. What they've actually got is the full power to do the good work, to legalise weed, to support the medicinal cannabis sector, to support the hemp industrial and food sector, to support the hemp growing industry, to replace all of those totally unsustainable products that we use. And this leads straight into where I really started. And I know you're all on board with this. We must end native forest logging together. We are so close to doing it, but we need all of you to do it. Labor has the power now. There is no freaking excuse. And they've got us in the Senate. In New South Wales, they've got the power. And in the upper house, they've got us, where we hold the balance of power. There are 4 Greens women in the New South Wales upper house. We hold the balance of power, but we just need Labor to use their majorities now to do what a progressive Labor government would do. They fought off Dutton. We've done that together. Labor haven't done that alone. They might claim they have, but there's no way it's an honest victory for Labor alone. This is all of us. So my gig for the next while will be to continue to work as hard as we possibly can to speak the truth of what has happened at this federal election, to continue to acknowledge and recognise the truth of the makeup of the New South Wales Parliament. And Labor gets no more free passes. None, folks. They have the power. We have squashed the politics of hate, division, tyranny, fascism. It is now time to make them true to the progressive base of Labor and to the power of the Greens. And that is all of you too. I said I was only going to speak for a few minutes, but I got awfully carried away. And what I really love doing more than anything, and we've actually got heaps of time, is to open this up to hear from you. Let's talk together. Have I triggered anything that makes you want to ask or know anything about the politics of, and this is what the frame is, the politics of legalising cannabis and going all the way, setting up our systems properly to support all the good people who want to make cannabis their world and their life, to end native forest logging because it's too much, too late, too far gone, to turn around the extinction trajectory that nature is on, to actually tackle the housing crisis and the cost of living crisis honestly, and we will not give up on our key federal plank. We want the health system to work for everyone and everyone to be able to afford and access what the rich people can. Dental health and mental health services, the ones that we all deserve in a wealthy country like ours. So they are the things that we are all fighting for when we talk about the grass is always greener with the Greens and the federal election that we just had. So over to you folks.
Thank you, Sue. Awesome as always. I'm still stuck on that word triggered though a few minutes ago, and I'm just wondering who's been triggered by anything that you might have said. This hands up please. We'll use the microphone. If you want to make a comment or a question, please just put your hand up and we'll give you a microphone. Thank you.
Hey Sue, thanks for being out here today. So a member of the Legislative Council, Stephen Lawrence, says that he thinks if we get at a state level a second or perhaps in a third term of a Labor government, whether that be minority or majority, that the prospects of legalising cannabis in New South Wales is almost certain. Do you agree with that perhaps view that we're that close to getting this across the line?
I do. I think he's right. I think that, so if we look at what the Min's Labor government, it's their first term now. They're into their third year this year. They stand strong and say, well, Chris Minns, the Premier, stands strong and says, we never said we would legalise cannabis. They held a drug summit instead because they knew that the pressure was mounting and that the evidence is so clear that we must get on with this and do it for all the reasons. We have pressured and pressured and pressured. The drug summit has been a complete flop. The health minister right now is just bashing his head against the wall going, oh my God, can we just get on with this and do it? And so are many people across the Labor caucus, the backbenchers. So are many Labor cabinet ministers. There is a Premier who is frightened, in my view, to take those bold, it's a perception they're progressive steps. The truth is, we know it's not particularly progressive, that the alternative, the status quo, maintaining the prohibition on cannabis is regressive and absurd. That's the reality. To legalise cannabis is just the right thing to do. So I think Stephen is quite right. I think that the chance is, or the somewhat unspoken promise that we're told, is that they will take the option of legalising cannabis to the next election. So that is still 3 years away. March 2027, 2 years away. But I think that is quite a likelihood. For me, I don't know if you know anyone who knows anything about me, I go, great, if that's possible, I'll tell you what's even more possible, let's get it done sooner. Let's put more pressure on and let's keep trying. And why? Why do we have to wait? Why do we always have to wait for status quo, power politics? Let's push harder. Will we get it? Of course we're going to get it. It is a matter of when. And I say, we've waited long enough, let's keep pushing. Because if the Greens had a bit more power, and we do have significant power, and we will continue to use that power wisely, we will get it done faster, because that's our gig. Duncan, you had something as well. Sorry, Steve, you're a little bit late.
On the subject of medical cannabis, again, in the industry, and in terms of, like you're saying before, that our Australian market's being flooded by overseas, but the other issue for me, which you brought up with the local farms struggling, even though they've got great product, that it feels like so much of our society is geared towards big corporations coming in, selling their shit to our communities, and our money leaves the communities and heads overseas or the Cayman Islands or wherever, and goes to someone that's already very wealthy, instead of that money coming into the community. And we're very well placed community, obviously, to produce medical cannabis. And the way I see it, that should be an avenue for money to come into our communities. How much chance of that happening, do you think?
I think so. I love this because this is, we have the kind of power of rightness on our side with this argument. Like, it's ours. And it honestly is the kind of government asleep at the wheel that's letting this happen. It's quite perverse that our communities, our regions and our state and our nation is missing out on this wealth. It's like our Sunday and I'm tired, I won't sweat. It's like our natural resources. It's the same thing. We're treated like the world's free quarry. They take everything, they dig it up and they ship it out. We lose out, our people lose out, our kids, our grandkids. Just so you know, that's my grandkid there. He literally just squealed on cue. How good am I? How good is he? He's the most beautiful little thing. I'm serious. The bastards are taking it away because they're asleep at the wheel and they care more about something other than us, and it's their own political power they care more about. And it's just cruel, it's bad, and I'm going to say it, it's evil politics when you are leaving your own sovereign wealth and you're literally giving it for free to those multinationals and those other corporations that are paying tax outside. I know you've heard it, but our amazing Australian Greens leader, that was our platform, you know, taxing the billionaires, taxing those corporations. These are the guys. It's the pharmaceutical companies, and they're the ones literally corrupting the medicinal cannabis market in our country, in our state, and not just in our state, literally over the hill there, our own community that we walk past, our brothers and sisters that we see on our streets. They are getting crippled and ripped off right now. So I've got a super cunning plan, and Shoebridge and I managed to sit down and talk about it while we were sniffing the weed at the plant. No, I'm just being silly. But we were there with the operators of this facility. What we need to do, and what we're going to work really hard to do, is to talk to the Commonwealth and to say, you now need to do what we do on every import product, and say, it's time to leverage it down. We have enough product here in our country, and you are stifling the very thing you promised you stand for, and that is made in Australia. This is us, this is ours, it's our time, because everybody now, I believe the populace, the populist community across all of Australia wants everything to be made in Australia and to be sustaining us and our people, our environments, and doing it properly, doing it in accordance with these regs. These guys over here, their plant is fabulous. They are organic. They're like a little circular system that they're functioning. They do all their own composting. They bring it in. They're using beautiful complementary, like you walk in and they've got all, you know, flowers and sunflowers and lavender and basil. They're the real gig doing companion planting. It is the thing we dreamt of, you know, for the last 20, 30, 40 years, sitting around here talking about how it could be. These guys are doing it and investing in it, and right now the Labor government is just throwing it all away. So we are going to set the record straight. Shuey and I, we're workers, that's what we do, we're ambitious, we've got a goal, we've been together, we've seen it, and we're going to work until we achieve the right justice outcome for that place, for our people. So that's the answer, sorry.
A question from the back.
Okay. And
the microphone is here.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you so much for all the time that you put in being a candidate and time as a politician, because you sacrifice your anonymity, you sacrifice your time with your family, you sacrifice any goals that you wanted to personally have for the achievement of the people that you're representing. And this is not a suck up because I'm your competition, all right? I legalise cannabis. And so for me, I appreciate what has previously been done to represent us. Our reason for existence is because it wasn't enough. We wanted to vote for you. We wanted to vote for the other parties. But we as consumers have had to fight with that stigma, shame, and condemnation of our consumption by the average consumer. And I think that when it comes to the Greens, if you really want to be considered genuine in what you're doing with it, because this is part of the problem, is your authenticity really there? And that's where people have changed to us, because they felt that was challenging them. So I don't think that you've lost seats because of us, but you did, in a way, all right? And they were there to help you, but they're really sending a message to you that this was a bigger issue than the other issues. And that's why we've managed to bring those seat numbers up like we have done. And what I really wanted to get across was a lot of the consumers and legalised cannabis volunteers and candidates that are out there are exposing their personal histories in a way that every other party doesn't have to consider. You can tell us your thoughts and beliefs on housing and trees and things like that, but you're not actually sharing your personal history to educate. And that's very personal for all of us volunteers that get out there and do it. And we do appreciate how hard it is for you to do your job. So please really understand we are grateful for all the work that's been done in Parliament previously. But we're now challenging you as well to hold yourself to your claims that you're going to do. And we've had to do this because you haven't. So we're just holding it up to all the parties that there is much more that can be done, and education is the main thing, and not talking about it doesn't help. The more we talk about it, the more you hear from us as people that use it. As I use it to manage my condition like a diabetic uses insulin. So to claim that I am in any way harming someone else when I'm saving my life hurts. And when people walk past and say that's not for me, it hurts us. So just recognise when you're dealing and talking about us as cannabis consumers, we're not the criminals trying to make money off somebody else's misfortune. We're the ones trying to help you build a better country. Okay? Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Take that as a comment.
Absolutely. Look, I'm very happy to address it. I'm not sure if you were here at the beginning. I did share my story. I always share my story. I will always share my story. I'm not ashamed of my story. Before I was an MP, before I was an environmental lawyer, I spent my time with Steve fighting in the courts to make sure that people were wrongly persecuted, prosecuted, were taken out of the court system. I was at the very, very first MardiGrass protest here. I've had choppers rip up crops from up the mountain. Honestly, I'm in this for no other reason, like the rest of my colleagues, to get this job done. What I will say, and politics is tough, but by legalised cannabis running, what you've actually done in some seats, and I will always love the fact that we can run and parties can run, but there is something else than just running. Teaching the Greens a lesson is an interesting motivation to run. I don't think it's a particularly strategic one. I accept it as a valuable one and take it on. I don't know what more you want, or anyone wants the Greens to learn. Who we need to be teaching is the people in power that are holding on to the levers to stop the Greens. We are the only party that has ever put up bills in Parliament to legalise cannabis. We have one sitting right now in the New South Wales Parliament, and we had one sitting in the Commonwealth Parliament. That has never happened before. So by running to unseat the Greens, all you do is you take away the only voice in Australia with power to legalise cannabis. But that's okay, because we are still there, we are strong, we will keep going, and we will legalise cannabis. But we will also end native forest logging. We will also work on ending the criminalisation and prohibition on other drugs too, because it's not just cannabis. We want to see all drugs taken out of the criminal justice system and placed where they rightly should be, in the health system and in our social systems and in our economy. But that said, love your work and thank you very much, and really appreciate your comments. But please know, my sacrifice is the best fun I've ever had in my life. Being a Greens MP, I am loving every single minute of it. I'm here for a short time, not a long time, but I'm certainly making sure it's a freaking good time too. You wanted to say something? Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for speaking today. I just wanted to ask about your native forest policies, yours and the Greens. So I was just wondering if native forest logging includes private native forests and also state forests. And in touching on that, in a time where I think we've all realised how vulnerable supply chains are and how unsustainable long distance supply chains are, I was wondering where you guys suggest getting our hardwood timber from, as well as impacts on the regional areas that these are affecting, as we saw in Victoria in the shutdown of mills, but then also the extra load that shutdown put on the Tasmanian forests.
Love it.
They lost a...
Yeah, thank you so much. Love it, love it, love it when people want to talk forests. It's my favourite topic. Started with me when I was 19 and locked on to a dozer at Chillundi up there when we saved the old growth forest. And we saved that old growth forest. There was only 4% left in the entire state of New South Wales, and we managed to protect just that little bit and get it put into the national park system. It wasn't the best quality old growth forest left. So our policy is to end native forest logging on public land as a matter of urgency. We're talking about only about 1.8% of New South Wales land mass. That's it. At the moment, we only have a protected area network, so our national parks and other Crown land, nature reserves, flora reserves. It only makes up around about 11% of the entire land base of New South Wales. So we need to add that last 1.8% to it. It's really important. And the reason being, yes, sure, we've used these beautiful ecosystems to pull and extract native forest timber from, but we've gone too far. We don't have enough left. That is the truth, that is the fact. We must protect that last 1.8%. What do we do in terms of timber? Well, we know, going to your supply chain. So sorry, firstly, what are we using currently those forests for? Mostly, really unbelievably, shit product. Absolutely low value product. We are using those forests mostly for wood chips, still making paper. We are using them for firewood, fence posts. We are using them for pallets to export our steel and move our steel around on, and the occasional telegraph pole, which Essential Energy and all the other telegraph pole providers have committed. They will stop using timber for that because it won't sustain in the climate we're heading into. They're not resilient enough. We're moving to composite type of telegraph poles. The other very small percentage goes to quite higher grade decking and flooring and nice architect timber for more elite expensive houses, people who can afford houses that have those hardwood products in. Public native forests, at the moment, we understand if they are, private native forestry, we understand if they are better regulated, there is and they are properly priced, the products that come out of them for housing, there is a very niche. What do we use to build housing in terms of timber? Well, we use softwood. 87% of all structural timber used to build in the construction industry for houses and the things we need, it's all softwood. Our softwood plantations are booming. They're not booming enough, but they are booming. So for example, last year alone, the native hardwood public forest industry lost us $29 million. It cost us. We are hemorrhaging money from logging our precious public native forests. The softwood sector profited $48 million. So even that alone gives you the optics of where we're going so drastically wrong. There is not one reason we should continue to log our public native forest estate, but there are about 30 solid reasons. I would encourage you to read David Lindenmeyer's The Forest Wars book. It's brilliant, gives you all of the arguments and reasons right now, political, social, economic, environmental, and economic, as to why we must stop logging our native forests. We have every reason to end that. Will we run out of timber? Well, we kind of already have, if we're talking about a time in the past. The timber, our public native forest estate, is in a really poor condition, much of it, desperately poor. The Natural Resources Commission, so the independent expert body that advises the government, has said our public forest estate, if we don't change the management of it and change it fast, it will become a carbon emitter into the future. Our forests that right now are the things that are saving our lives, providing us the life-giving properties we need, oxygen, drawing down and storing carbon, giving us fresh water, and maintaining the biodiversity on this planet, Earth, including some of the most amazing vulnerable threatened species, the icons, the greater gliders, our koalas, the yellow-bellied gliders, the little quolls and the tiny little ground-dwelling marsupial mammals. We're going to lose them all if we keep logging this precious public native forest because they've become the refuges. So, we We absolutely just have to stop logging those forests because we're trashing them. And if we turn them into carbon emitters, and we turn them into these awful, unhealthy, dried out, unresilient places that just catch fire, then we're in trouble. We really are. So the fact that we still have these beautiful native forests, and the fact that we're talking about a small but very, very significant ecosystems, in very small area of land, but very significant ecosystems across this state, it's a no-brainer. We just have to end native forest logging. We'll get products, we'll be able to replace whatever we got from the forest, particularly through hemp.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Sue. My question is sort of complicated, but does whoever is in power, are they controlled by the massive, okay, I'm going to go to the top, BlackRock? Are they controlled by the multinationals? Are they controlled by the big pharma? Is that why whoever is in power has to make these deals whereby Labor just goes ahead and signs up another 15 coal mines or fracking or whatever, you know, the horrific stuff that's going on? Whoever is in power, are they actually able to stand up to these black, evil entities that are actually pulling the strings?
Look, it's a very good question. The way I see it, and I have had a lot of exposure. I'm in Parliament, I watch people walk through the halls, I see things that happen there and things that happen here. By very design, our system is deeply influenced, and power is deeply influenced by power. Particularly those voices, those influences, that money, those positions. Absolutely my word. I think, and I can actually say this, because of the influence of the Greens in our Parliament over the last 35 years, we have slowly but surely shone a light on those influences. We have managed to get changes. So I remember when I was at the Environmental Defender's Office and we challenged Rio Tinto's brand new coal mine, Warkworth, in the Hunter Valley, massive big thermal coal mine. We were the first ever, it was the first ever case where we managed to convince a court to say, actually, even though the government's approved this massive thermal coal mine, we're going to overturn that decision. It was radical. That was in 2012. It was on the front page of every paper. Oh my God, sovereign risk. The community, with this bunch of ratbag lawyers, have overturned an approval for a coal mine. This is going to turn everybody off and we'll lose money and we just can't have this. It doesn't work that way. I learned after that decision, the head of Rio Tinto flew from his office in London. I only learned this a year after through FOI documents. Harry Gordon Slatter, I can't remember his name, Harry Gordon Slatter or somebody, flew from his office in London and a week later was sitting at the Premier's desk, it was then Barry O'Farrell, having a conversation saying, what's happened? How has this happened? We are Rio Tinto, this is coal, coal is king, you are the quarry, you are the Premier, you approve this, these ratbags have overturned it, go and sort it out. Now, to be frank, that's the last string of direct power that I have ever seen so corruptible and so influenced in our system. Obviously, I look through the lens of climate and environment more than any other lens. That's my expertise. We have started to make more accountability, because that's what Greens in Parliament have done, in the upper house in particular. We hold systems to account. We have inquiries, we shine lights, and we expose where power comes in, where it corrupts, and then we wash it out. And that's what we've done. Is it still happening? The one thing I would really encourage is, this is a new concept. That was the norm. Our state and our country was run like that for a long, long time. We now have a new system of of the way that big power works. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to look, but I would urge you if you haven't. Scott Ludlam, former amazing Greens senator, he has done an incredible body of work on what we now refer to, and internationally we understand it, state capture. And that is, when you look at that concept and you explore that, it gives you a really good, deep, forensic understanding of how those big influences are still corrupting power, influencing power, and just organising the system so that their power benefits consistently. So I think that we are not, it's very rare that we now see direct corrupt influence. Because in New South Wales, we have the ICAC, we have the Independent Commission Against Corruption. In the federal parliament, unfortunately, we got one, it's a shit version. Hopefully now Labor will make it better, and we Greens in the Senate will absolutely fight to make it something. But this state capture is I believe it's even more dangerous, because those enormous influences and multinationals and power bodies are so embedded that it's just business. It's just the way it works. And they have lobbyists, they walk around the chambers of parliament. One of the things I've been able to do in the New South Wales Parliament, when I first got in and got a shock about all the people who just have passes and cards and they walk through and they talk to the MPs opportunistically in the corridors. I've managed to give all the forest advocates these passes too. So they're now in the building, and that's what a parliament, if anybody is going to be walking the corridors, it should be civil society. It should be the people, not these big influencers and these big money pockets. So I think the short answer is, yes, they are in our system. They play a role. But the role isn't unlawful. Our systems have been built to provide a place for that kind of influence. And that's why loosening the stranglehold of the duopoly on our system is so important, because it would make and allow more accountability and for the status quo of our democracy to be a more sophisticated version, a more participatory one, a one where the playing field is much more level, and civil society is having more influence than those very powerful, very wealthy influencers that have a vested interest to protect their own profit-making capacity.
Thank you.
Oh my God, it's 2:05.
A great place to finish, I think. Thank you, Sue, for that contribution and everything else, and all contributions from questions and comments from the under the tent. It is time. Time has come for the next step, which is the MardiGrass rally and march through the sunny streets of sunny Nimbin. Gathering, please, at the school down that way a little bit. The march is the focus in some ways, the political focus in some ways of MardiGrass weekend. This is the way we say to all the world watching, to government and other interested entities, this matters to us. We want this change happening. We want this change happening soon, please. And joining in the march is a great way to continue that legal and political argument about the legal structure of Canada, the legal system of cannabis. So please join in.
I'm going to be marching with the amazing Virginia Waters, Greens councillor here on Lismore City Council behind our wonderful Greens banner.
March
Feel free
Greens,
to join us.
March for the Greens if you want to march in any
Thank
event.
you, everyone. You're brilliant.
Thank you.